Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Ever stop and think about what makes up most of our planet? Here's a hint. It's not land. Nope. It's a huge, mysterious world hidden right under the waves. Today, we're going to dive deep and explore the incredible importance of our oceans. This one's especially for all you Class 6 learners, and it's brought to you by our friends at A1 Institute. So, let's get into it. Would you just look at that? Right beneath the surface is the hydrosphere. That's just the fancy name for all of Earth's water, and it is absolutely bursting with life. It's this vibrant, bustling world that's mostly hidden from us, just filled with creatures of every shape and size you can possibly imagine. So just how much of our planet is actually water? Brace yourself for this number. A massive 97.7% of all the water on Earth is in our oceans. That's nearly all of it. It really makes you realize we're not living on a land planet, we are living on an ocean planet. And this table here kind of breaks down that enormous amount of water into our 5 major oceans. Now, check out the Pacific. At over 166 million square kilometers, it is so big that it's larger than all of Earth's continents put together. Just let that sink in for a second. That scale is totally mind-boggling. Okay, so we're surrounded by all this water, but if you've ever been in the beach, you know you can't really drink it. Which brings us to a really big question. What is the ocean's salty secret? I mean, it's a classic question, right? You're having fun at the beach, a wave hits you, you get a mouthful of water, and yuck, it's so salty. But have you ever really stopped to wonder why it tastes like that? Well, there's actually a super simple way you could see the proof for yourself. Just imagine you took a dish of seawater and you left it out in the hot sun. The water itself would slowly evaporate, turn into vapor, but it would leave behind this crusty, whitish layer. So what is that stuff? Well, my friends, that is salt. Scientists have a special word for this. They call it salinity. It's really just a way to measure how much salt is dissolved in the water. They measure it in something called parts per thousand. So think of it this way. If you had 1,000 drops of seawater, about 35 of those tiny drops would actually be salt. So the next big question is, where does all that salt even come from? Well, there are 2 main sources. First, you've got rivers. As they flow over land, they're constantly breaking down rocks, picking up tiny bits of minerals and salts, and carrying them all the way out to sea. And the second source? It's even cooler. Underwater volcanoes. When they erupt, they blast minerals and gases right into the seawater. And get this, while the average ocean has a salinity of around 35 parts per thousand, some places are way, way saltier. Take a look at the Dead Sea. Its salinity is a whopping 332 parts per thousand. It's so packed with salt that you can actually float in it without even trying. How cool is that? Okay, so we know the ocean is huge and it's super salty, but it's definitely not empty. It is home to an absolutely astonishing variety of life. So let's dive back under the waves and meet some of the locals. I want you to really think about this for a second. It's an incredible fact. The amount of life in the water is many times greater than all the life on land, combined. It just goes to show you how much is really going on down there. And we are talking about an unbelievable range here. From microscopic plankton, which are the tiny little foundation of the entire ocean food web, all the way up to the biggest animal that has ever lived on Earth, the blue whale. And that's not even mentioning sharks, countless types of fish, crabs, prawns. Seriously, the list just goes on and on. So this amazing underwater world is cool and all, but how does it connect to our daily lives? Well, it turns out the ocean gives us some pretty incredible gifts that we use every single day. The most obvious gift, of course, is food. Just think about it. How many of these are your favorites? Fish, prawns, crabs. For billions of people all over the world, the ocean is the main source of protein. It's a huge part of what they eat. And hey, remember our salty secret? Well, that salt is another amazing gift. What you're looking at here are salt pans. This is where people use that exact same evaporation process we talked about, just on a giant scale, to get the salt that ends up on our dinner tables. But the gifts don't stop with food and salt. The ocean is like a giant treasure chest. It provides us with these vital minerals, things like phosphates, sulfates, and iodine, which are used in everything from medicine to the fertilizers that help us grow our food back on land. So the ocean feeds us, it gives us resources, but it also has another huge and often totally invisible job. It literally shapes the climate of our entire planet.
Let's dig into how that works.
All right, take a look at this table. It shows the range of temperature for different cities all over the world. Now, that range is just the difference between the hottest and coldest temperatures they usually get. At first, this might just look like a bunch of numbers, but I promise you, there is a secret clue hidden in this list that connects right back to the ocean.
Let's just zoom in on two of them to make it super clear. You've got Istanbul, which is right on the coast by the sea, and then you have Kabul, which is way inland, smack in the middle of a continent. Now look at their temperature ranges. Istanbul's is much smaller than Kabul's. So why is that? It's because the ocean acts like a giant thermostat. It soaks up heat in the summer and then releases it slowly in the winter. This keeps coastal areas from getting crazy hot or freezing cold. It's an amazing natural climate controller.
So, when you add it all up, the ocean gives us food, resources, and it keeps our climate stable. It takes incredible care of us. And that leaves us with one last and very, very important question. How can we take care of the ocean in return? And that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. If you had fun on this journey and you want more explainers that make learning feel like a real adventure, make sure to search for A1 Institute on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for hanging out with us.